They told us Americans would execute us upon arrival. I learned the truth when Samuel Henderson put his heavy hand on my shoulder, not to strike me, but to guide me to a table where the foreman's wife handed me a heavy porcelain plate of steak, biscuits, gravy. But to understand why I expected death yet received a fork and seat at the family table, know what happened July 14th, 1944. The wheat stubble scratched my ankles through threadbare socks, each stalk a needle reminding me I was alive when I should have been dead. July 14th, 1944, and the air in that Norman ditch tasted of burnt phosphorus and the sour sweat of boys who hadn't eaten in 2 days. I gripped the wooden rifle, balsa painted black to look like steel, and waited for American bullets to sweep through the grass like scythes. My hands shook so badly the fake gun rattled against my tin buttons.
Hold this line. The Führer demands blood, not cowardice.
Obersturmführer Vogel crouched behind a shattered cartwheel, his SS collar tabs glinting through the dust. He was 22, maybe 23, but the madness in his eyes made him ancient. He pointed his Luger not at the enemy, but at us, his own boys. The barrel wavered.
The Americans shoot prisoners. They bayonet children. Fight, or I execute you for treason right here.
Leo, look at my hands. Wilhelm knelt beside me in the dirt, his face gray with mortar dust. At 17, he looked like my grandfather might have, if my grandfather hadn't died in the snow outside Stalingrad. Wilhelm's hands trembled violently, holding a tin cup of rainwater that tasted of rust and fear. The rifle is wood. We know it. He knows it. We can only die stupidly for a madman, or live smartly. Choose now. He'll shoot us if we stand, the Obersturmführer said.
Easy, kid. Nobody's shooting anybody today.
The voice came from the rim of the ditch, soft as church cotton, cutting through the artillery rumble. I flinched, expecting the crack of a Garand, but saw a hand instead, sunburned dark as leather, extending down with a canteen that sloshed with real clean water. Above it, blue eyes and a face streaked with camouflage grease. American, a medic by the Red Cross on his helmet that caught the sun like a halo.
You're shaking so hard, you might hurt yourself with that toy gun. Hand it here, nice and slow. That's the way.
My fingers unlocked. The wooden rifle, my suicide weapon, my betrayal of the Reich, fell into the wheat with a hollow thunk. I reached for Samuel's hand, feeling the weight of his grip, the calluses from rope and reins, the smell of tobacco and soap and mercy, though I didn't know the scent then. I only knew it wasn't the smell of death.
Kessler! Brent! Aufstehen! Get back in position. Now!
Vogel's Luger barked. The bullet whined overhead, desperate and wild, cutting stalks. Samuel didn't flinch. He kept pulling, his other hand steady on my shoulder, heavy and warm as a father's.
Come on up, son, both of you. There's a cattle ranch in Texas with your name on it, if we can get you to the boats alive.
Do you think they'll really let us live? After what we've done? After everything? I am 15. I told them I was 18, but I am 15. I cannot die today.
I know. I got a boy back in Hebronville about your age. Step up slow now. There you go. Easy does it.
The sun hit my face like a slap. I stood on legs that had forgotten how to hold a body upright without fear. Behind us, Vogel screamed, but the sound faded, drowned by American truck engines and the clink of ceramic plates being unpacked from field kits, plates that would soon hold more food than I'd seen in 3 years of empty promises and hunger. Texas?
Beefsteak and biscuits, boys. Gravy thick enough to stand a spoon in. Just walk to the road, 1 foot after another.
I walked. The wheat parted like the Red Sea, carrying us toward the smell of seared beef that would finally teach us what civilization truly meant. The truck's brakes screamed like artillery against the iron gate of Hebronville Ranch. 17 of us pressed against the slatted sides, breathing the stench of our own piss and Atlantic salt crusted in our threadbare uniforms. July heat in Texas pressed down, a wet boiling blanket turning the truck bed into a suffocating sauna. I clutched my wooden rifle from breast, useless and splintered, a toy for a child sent to die.
Eyes forward. No talking. You are soldiers of the Reich, not cattle for slaughter. The Americans will hang you as terrorists. Remember the Führer's order. You will fight until the last bullet.
Sturmbannführer Vogel sat chained by the cab, his SS uniform still black and immaculate, his jaw set like granite. He'd screamed since the ship docked in Charleston about gallows and suicide orders. His voice had gone hoarse, but the hate remained, sharp as the bayonet he'd lost to a Marine in Normandy. He needed us afraid. "Leo, look, no gallows, just a gate with skulls, and that old man watching us. Do you see him? He isn't holding a rifle. Look at his hands." Wilhelm's fingers dug into my shoulder, trembling. He was 14, 2 weeks younger than me, and hadn't stopped shaking since we left Lübeck. Through the slats I saw red dust, twisted scrub oak, and an iron gate with bleached longhorn skulls staring with empty eyes. No ropes, no posts, just a 63-year-old man in faded denim, chewing tobacco, watching us with the patience of stone.
Step down slow, boys, one at a time. Nobody's rushing you. Easy does it. The ground won't bite you. You're okay now.
The American wore khaki with a Red Cross armband stained brown. His rifle hung slack on his shoulder, and his hands spread open like he was calming spooked horses. When he smiled beneath his gray mustache, I saw he was missing a tooth, his eyes creased with something I didn't recognize.
Don't listen to the swine. Remember your blood oath. Death before dishonor. Fight with your fingernails if you must. The Reich depends on your loyalty and your silence.
Shut your mouth, Fritz, or I'll shut it for you with my boot heel. These kids don't need your poison anymore. Look at them. They're half-starved and scared.
Vogel lunged against his chains, spitting, face purple. Henderson didn't flinch. He reached up to help me down from the truck. I fell inched backward against the splintered truck bed, my spine hitting hot metal with a crack. His hands, rough as barnwood, caught my ribs before I hit the dust. The contact burned. No one had touched me with care in months, only rifle butts in frozen earth. I smelled him, tobacco, medicinal alcohol, peaches from a can. My knees buckled, the oversized boots slipping on iron. The Texas sun hammered my neck, baking grime into pores.
Steady, son. I got you. Just breathe. You're on American soil now, not German steel. Nobody's gonna hurt you here.
Don't listen, you little swine. It's a trick. The democracies poison their slaves with luxury before the slaughter. They fatten the calf before the knife.
Vogel's chain scraped against the truck gate, a grinding shriek that made my molars ache. He thrashed, his SS collar tabs caked with dust, his face the color of raw liver. Beyond him, past barbed wire shimmering in the heat haze, I saw the cattle. Hundreds of fat, russet humps moving through scrub grass, their lowing a deep thunder that vibrated in my hollow belly. Grain trucks lined the ranch road, canvas covers flapping, golden kernels spilling from split sacks like sand from a broken hourglass. Enough for 10 armies. "Leopold, look at the grain. That's enough to feed the 12th SS Panzer for a month. Why show us this? What kind of trap is this?" I couldn't answer. My tongue had welded to the roof of my mouth, tasting rust and old blood. In Berlin, they promised us iron and sacrifice, issued us wooden rifles and pamphlets about dying gloriously. Here, in this wasteland of mesquite and red dust, the enemy had bread, the enemy had meat. They'd such plenty that they'd let it spill on the ground.
You boys need water. Real water, not ditch sludge. We got beef stew in the mess tent. No tricks, just human decency. You understand? Menschlichkeit.
It's infected. They want you fat for the hangman. The Führer warned us about their psychological warfare. Eat their food and you become cattle. You lose your honor.
My stomach made a sound like ripping canvas. I stared at a sack of cornmeal split open near the truck wheel, yellow meal pooling in the dirt. In Normandy, we ate grass and chalk. I looked at Leopold, my eyes stinging from sweat or shame. My hands shook, the hunger gnawing through my stomach wall. Henderson reached into his pocket and pulled out something wrapped in wax paper, a biscuit. It steamed in the July heat, golden brown and heavy. He broke it in half. The crumb fell onto my boot, landing like a bullet casing. Vogel screamed about cyanide and honor, but his voice came from far away, buried under my pulse thrumming. I realized then that the monsters here were not the ones with the medical kits. The monsters were the men who sent children to hold a line with pine guns, who told us starvation was virtue while they dined in Berlin. I took the biscuit. My fingers trembled so badly I dropped it twice before bringing it to my mouth, and when I bit down, the butter and salt filled my skull with a light so bright it felt like drowning. I licked the butter from my thumb, the grease coating my tongue with a richness that made my stomach clench. Sergeant Henderson shouted for the work detail, his voice carrying that strange American lilt. We marched toward the northern fence line, Wilhelm Brandt shuffling beside me in boots stuffed with newspaper. The Texas scrubland baked through our thin uniforms until the cloth stuck to our backs. The air shimmered above the caliche, distorting the horizon into liquid silver.
Memory. Weakness is treason. A soldier does not feel thirst. Pain is the fuel of the Aryan will. You will thank me for this beating when the Russians come.
The voice cracked like a whip across my mind. I flinched, nearly stumbling over a prairie dog hole, my heart hammering. Steady, Leo. The Americans don't shoot for stumbling. Not yet. We reached the fence line where posts lay stacked like coffin timbers, black with creosote. My hands trembled, fingers swollen from scurvy. I bent to lift a post, 6 feet of oak, slick with tar, and the weight betrayed me. My palm slid across the wood. It struck my shin, a bright agony, then the earth with a dull thud. Dust puffed up. I froze, waiting for the blow. In Normandy, Vogel had beaten a boy senseless for dropping a crate. I braced for the rifle butt. Forgive me, I am weak.
Easy there, son.
The shadow fell over me, but no strike came. Metal pressed against my lips, a canteen, sweating with condensation, cold as stone. The shock made me gasp.
Drink. You're no good to me passed out in the dirt. Slow sips now.
The water tasted of iron and salvation, so cold it burned. It spilled down my chin, soaking my collar. I stared up at Henderson, waiting for the trick, but his eyes were brown and steady, creased with concern. I dropped the post. I am sorry. I will work harder.
Fence posts can be set twice. Boys can't.
He took the canteen back, wiping the mouth with his sleeve. In the distance, the ranch foreman worked with a sorrel mare, his touch gentle as he checked her hooves. The horse nickered, her coat brushed to copper shine. She had better shoes than I'd worn in 6 months.
Memory. Beasts serve the Reich. You are nothing but meat for the Russian guns. Discipline through suffering. The weak deserve their pain.
The contrast split my chest open. I looked from the mare to Brandt, who watched Henderson with suspicious, hungry eyes. Why? Why does he give you water? What does he want from us? I don't know. They treat the horses better than Vogel treated us. But I was beginning to. The scrubland monsters were teaching me, with every sip of cold water, that Berlin had lied. The horses were proof, treated with more mercy than our officers showed their children. The wall of lies began to crumble into dust. The dust settled on my tongue, fine as gunpowder. I was staring at my boots, Vogel's cast-offs 3 sizes too large. The leather cracked like dried mud when the weight landed on my shoulder, heavy, warm. The fingers didn't dig for bone, didn't seek the nerve cluster beneath my collarbone.
Easy there, Leopold. Work's done.
I flinched. 3 years of Vogel's baton had wired my nerves to spark at contact, but this palm pressed firm, guiding, not striking. I looked up. Henderson stood there, his medic's armband stained with sweat and iodine, a twist of tobacco tucked in his cheek, sweet and sharp. Behind him, the main house glowed white against the bruising Texas sunset, windows yellow with lamplight.
Step away from that prisoner, Sergeant. He is not a pet. They are soldiers of the Reich, not field hands to be coddled.
Stand down, Vogel. These boys just put in 12 hours.
Sir, my hands are bleeding badly. The barbed wire.
Silence, Brandt. Weakness is treason, boy.
Vogel's voice still carried the whip crack of Berlin, but his uniform hung looser now, stripped of its silver thread. He was a ghost of the officer who'd handed me the wooden rifle in the Ruhr, telling me to die for concrete. Henderson ignored him. The American's hand slid from my shoulder to offer a folded rectangle of cloth, gray, soft, smelling of lye soap and sun-bleached cotton.
Here, clean your face. Mrs. Henderson set a place.
The towel was heavy, damp. I pressed it to my cheeks, and the dirt melted away, revealing skin I didn't recognize. Pale, tender, a child's face buried beneath the grime of the Eastern Front. The water was cool, miraculous. I looked at Brant. He stood trembling, 17 but aged to 50, his eyes fixed on the house's glowing doorway like a pilgrim sighting grace. Leo, do we dare?
You will remain in the compound. That is an order.
Son, in Texas, we don't starve children. Not even the children of our enemies.
The word struck deeper than any bullet. Children. He had said children. Vogel had called us the sword of the Reich, expendable steel. But Henderson saw the buttons straining on my tunic, the boyish narrowness of my wrists, the starvation that had stunted my growth. The rancher's hand returned to my shoulder, steering me toward the porch, toward the smell of roasting beef and coffee that wrapped around my hunger like a wool blanket. My boots dragged in the dust, suddenly too heavy to lift. I was not being marched to a bunker. I was being led to a table. They see us now, Leo. They actually see us. The screen door creaked. Inside, china gleamed on checkered cloth, steam rising from porcelain bowls. For 3 years, I had eaten rust-flavored water and sawdust bread. Now, the air itself was nourishment, thick with the scent of mercy. I realized then, standing on the threshold with Henderson's steady hand between my shoulder blades, that the monsters in the scrub had not come to kill me. They had come to wash my face and fill my plate. Berlin had sent me to die. Texas had set a place for me to live. The chair creaks beneath me, a familiar groan like an old wound complaining of weather. I am 94 now, and the Texas dust still sits beneath my fingernails, no matter how many times I wash these hands in the porcelain basin. The scar on my collarbone, where the rifle strap cut through the uniform during the forced march, has faded to a silver thread, but when the humidity rises off the Nueces River in July, it aches like a ghost. I sit on the porch of the Hebronville ranch house, watching the scrub oaks sway where the barbed wire once penned us, and I can still taste the rust of that first spring, the water from the well that tasted of iron and forgiveness, metallic and sweet. You don't have to decide today, kid. The war's dead. You're alive. That's the only arithmetic that matters now, and don't let any man in a pressed uniform tell you different. I rub the wood of the chair arm, feeling the grain where Samuel Henderson's thumb once rested as he handed me the discharge papers in May of '45. The paper had smelled of tobacco and coffee, scents that meant life. 17 of us chose the dust over the Rhine that morning. 17 boys who had learned that mercy had a Texas drawl and calloused hands. We stood in the yard while the others marched toward the ships, and the dust settled on our boots like a baptism.
You will return to the fatherland and fight until your bones bleach white in the sun. Deserters face the wall. The Führer demands your blood, not your cowardice, you filthy children.
Ignore him. He's already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. Look at the plate in front of you. That's real. The beef is real. His voice is just whined through a broken pipe. The beef is real. The plate is real. Berlin was the dream, Leopold, the nightmare. Henderson fed us while they fed us lies. I stay here where the soil doesn't judge the uniform. I close my eyes. The voices fade into the hum of cicadas. I am 94 years old and I still dream in German but wake in English. The transition happens in the dark hours before dawn, when I reach for a rifle that hasn't existed since Truman sat in the White House, when I feel the phantom weight of that wooden training gun they issued me in '45. I can still feel the splinters in my palms. They told us to die gloriously. They gave us sticks to fight tanks. Easy, Leopold, just breathe. The war's been over longer than you were alive when it started. You're home. You've been home for 80 years, and nobody's marching you nowhere.
Weakness. Sentiment. The Reich demands strength, not dirt-scrabbling farmers. You dishonor the blood of the martyrs.
He died in the Ruhr pocket, didn't he? Screaming at shadows while we ate steak. I buried him in my memory yesterday. I choose the living. These stories are disappearing. The tobacco tin where I kept Henderson's brass button is empty now, rusted through at the bottom like a sieve losing sand. When I go, the wooden rifles and the suicide orders become just ink in a textbook. The wind carries the smell of mesquite and distant rain, petrichor rising from earth that drank my sweat, and Henderson's kindness in equal measure. Brant died in 89, coughing dust. Henderson passed in 62. Vogel died commanding phantom armies while the real boys chose life. The Texas dust is alkaline. It neutralizes the acid of Berlin. I plant my feet in the soil, and I do not march. Subscribe to preserve the stories of the generation that chose peace over the Reich. The morphine pinches hard going in. I am 15 again, ribs like xylophone keys under Henderson's calloused thumb. The cattle barn smells of iodine and sorghum molasses, sweet and sharp enough to cut through the stench of my uniform. Outside, cicadas scream in the mesquite, a sound that is not artillery. Steady, Leopold, breathe through the nose, don't fight the air. Brant sits beside me on the hay bale, his shoulder bandaged with a strip torn from Henderson's own t-shirt. The fabric is still warm from the medic's body. Brant's hands shake as he rolls the cigarette, the paper fluttering like a moth. He gave me his last cigarette. Can you believe it? An American sharing with the enemy. My boots lay discarded near the stall door. Wooden soles, leather uppers cracked like drought earth. Berlin's suicide gift. I wiggle toes that have forgotten warmth, watching dust motes dance in the July sunbeam. Alkaline dust. It does not burn like Berlin's ash. They were going to send us against Shermans with these wooden rifles. The officer said it was honor. Henderson lights a lucky strike. The tobacco smoke is blue and curling against the barn's heat. He offers it to me. I shake my head, remembering Vogel's lectures on purity. Henderson presses it into my palm anyway, his fingers leaving grease stains on my skin. You're not a soldier anymore, kid. You're a boy. Eat. That's an order you can obey. The sea ration tin steams. Beef stew. Real meat. Not the ersatz sawdust from the Vaterland that we boiled into gruel. I spoon it in, and the salt burns my malnourished tongue, wakes nerves deadened by hunger. This is what mercy tastes like. Metallic, rich, alive. It tastes like Texas. Outside, Vogel screams from the stockade. Even captured, he wears his torn insignia, his face purple with rage.
Treason! You eat from the hand of the Untermensch? You shame the blood of the Reich. Fight! Fight until the last bullet, you cowardly dogs.
Brant flinches, his hand finding my knee. Henderson doesn't look up from suturing my arm. His hands are steady, brown from the Georgia sun. Nothing like the pale claws of the officers who sent children to hold the line with pine guns. Ignore him, Leo. Look at the sky. No flak, no smoke, just blue. I look up through the barn's broken slats. The Texas sky is a dome of impossible blue, heavy and bright. Alkaline. It neutralizes the acid of Berlin. I feel it in my marrow, replacing the ideology with dust, with silence. He said I had to die for the Führer, that my blood was currency. You give me beef stew, you wash my feet. I took an oath to heal, not to choose who deserves it. Now hush, let the medicine work. Vogel's shouting fades as the morphine takes hold, a warm tide rising from my gut. The last thing I see is Henderson's face. Not monster, not liberator, just a man who sees a starving child and chooses to feed him. The dust on my cheeks is not Berlin's ash. It is Texas earth, neutral, forgiving, solid. I sleep without dreaming of wolves. The documentary crew shifts, packing cables. I remain seated on the porch of the old ranch house, my cane resting against the railing where Henderson once leaned. The sun sets over the same mesquite where I dropped my wooden rifle 82 years ago. My boots are leather now, not wood. I do not march. I never marched again. A mockingbird lands on the fence post where Vogel once screamed his last orders. It sings. Henderson passed in 62. Vogel died commanding phantom armies while the real boys chose life. I chose this dust. I chose the stew. I chose to grow old. The wind picks up, carrying the smell of rain on mesquite. It smells like iodine and sorghum molasses. It smells like mercy. I breathe it in, this alkaline air. I am home now. I am 96 years old now. The arthritis in my hands makes it hard to hold a fork, but I still keep the photograph of our work crew, Vogel, Klaus, and me, squinting in the Texas sun. They are gone now, buried in German soil or scattered like ash. My grandchildren ask me about the war. They want to hear about the wooden rifles and the suicide orders from Berlin. but I tell them about the foreman's wife and how she handed me that heavy porcelain plate, steak bleeding into biscuits, gravy pooling like mercy after a day of work. We share these stories so the humanity of that generation is never forgotten. If you believe these memories should be preserved, please subscribe to help us keep them alive before the last of us who remember are gone. I can still feel the weight of that porcelain, warm from her oven, heavier than any wooden rifle I was ordered to carry. The characters, incidents, and dialogue in this video are dramatized for narrative and entertainment effect. While some events may be inspired by real-life themes, this story is a work of fiction.